Hello everyone, I'm Naomi Kyle and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week we're catching up on the Minecraft movie, a new handheld PC, Starfield DLC news, the fall of Concord, and the rise of Astro Bot, and a whole lot more. It's This Week in Gaming. Let's go. The very first trailer for a Minecraft movie premiered last week, leaving a lasting impact on viewers around the world. Fans and critics alike have compared this new trailer and its art style to the first Sonic movie trailer from 2019. That is the one with Ugly Sonic. Hey, I said that the trailer left a lasting impact. I never said it was good. The main complaint among fans seems to be the combination of real people in a blocky but realistic CGI world, creating an uncanny valley effect. This effect happens when your brain sees something that looks like a real sheep, for example, so it categorizes it as such, but then it takes a closer look and your brain begins to notice things that are inconsistent with what it knows a sheep to be. This confuses your brain as it can no longer categorize the thing it is seeing as real or fake, making you feel uneasy and thus creating the phenomenon known as the uncanny valley effect. The Minecraft movie trailer is currently on YouTube with over 150,000 comments, all roasting the trailer for its CGI and cookie-cutter story. Surely Warner Brothers is reviewing all the negative feedback from the trailer, but with the movie set to release on April 4th, I'm not confident Warner Brothers will have enough time to fix their movie. All that being said, I'm sure the kids will love it. Handheld gaming PCs have been a popular solution to gaming on the go since the introduction of the Steam Deck, which Valve created to compete with the Nintendo Switch, who before 2021 had the handheld gaming market entirely to themselves. Since then, we've seen offerings from other PC manufacturers like Asus's ROG Ally and Lenovo's Legion Go, which even has detachable controllers that mimic the Nintendo Switch's Joy-Con. The latest addition to the handheld gaming scene is the Nitro Blaze 7 from longtime computer manufacturer Acer. The Nitro Blaze is equipped with 16 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabyte SSD, and a 7-inch screen with an impressive refresh rate of 144 Hz. The controller layout is pretty standard with offset sticks and triggers on the back. Acer has not announced a release date or price for the Nitro Blaze 7 yet, but given its impressive specs and the prices of the other handheld PCs, I'd say it's safe to say we can expect the Nitro Blaze to cost somewhere between $600 and $800 a pop. Warner Brothers has found themselves in a pretty tight spot when it comes to video games. After the failed launch of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and the backlash they've received most recently for the Minecraft movie trailer, Warner Brothers is in the market for a win. A win like they had with Hogwarts Legacy, which has generated over $1 billion since its launch back in 2023. And it would seem they are leaning into the Harry Potter franchise for more success given their latest release, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. But what about a sequel? In an interview with Variety CFO at Warner Brothers Discovery, Gunnar Wiedefels had this to say. Obviously, successor to Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest priorities in a couple of years down the road, confirming that Warner Brothers is in fact working towards or currently developing a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. I'm very hopeful that we'll see a reveal for the game's sequel sometime in the next year or so here's hoping. Last week was an emotional roller coaster for PlayStation. They started off the week discontinuing support and issuing refunds for Concord, a hero shooter that had launched just 2 weeks prior. And now with the launch of Astro Bot, it looks like PlayStation's luck has turned around overnight. PlayStation's latest first-party game, Astro Bot, has rapidly claimed the spot for this year's highest-rated standalone game. At the time of this recording, Astro Bot holds a Metacritic score of 94 out of 100, leaving it just 1 point behind the Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, which has a Metacritic score of 95. Gene Park, who I had on the show last week, couldn't say much about his experience with the game during our interview, but since the game's official launch, he has been sharing his thoughts about his experience with Astro Bot on Twitter, saying, "Astro Bot is perfect. Admittedly, I haven't played Astro Bot since I played the demo back in June at Summer Game Fest, but in the little time I've spent with the game, I think Astro Bot is certain to be a contender for this year's Game of the Year awards." September 6th marks 1 year since the release of Bethesda's sci-fi action-adventure, Starfield. To commemorate Starfield's first trip around our sun, Bethesda shared the latest news for Starfield's first story expansion, Shattered Space. On Twitter, they posted, Thank you to the millions of players who have made these settled systems their home and helped make this an incredible first year for Starfield. We have much more coming, beginning with our first story expansion, Shattered Space, releasing September 30th. Here's a bit of what you can expect when Shattered Space launches, and then goes on to list over 50 new locations to discover and explore, new grenades to craft that stem from organic material you gather, and it's gross, formidable new enemies, be on your guard for redeemed and vortex horrors. You haven't seen the last of Zealots, Spacers, or the Crimson Fleet as you explore the planet to be on the lookout for those taking advantage of the situation. End quote. September is already shaping up to be full of hard-hitting game releases like Space Marine 2 and The Legend of Zelda. I hope the Shattered Space DLC has a few surprises hidden up their sleeve if they expect to stand out from the crowd in the coming weeks. Fans are mourning the loss of Concord after the game shut down officially on September 9th. And I've learned that every gamer grieves differently. Some folks get the squad together and play the game until they get the Platinum Trophy to feel like they've truly 100%ed the game, and others just can't let go. A Twitter user who goes by the handle Vorasumi has created a petition on change.org to re-release Concord. It's not certain if Vora is serious or just doing it for the memes, but their petition has gained some traction with a whopping 1,700 signatures to bring Concord back. It is a long road to victory, Vora. We hope you get your game back, or at the very least, that you find some closure. Now let's go over the games releasing this week.
Games out this week.
On September 9th, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 invades PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. September 10th, Satisfactory launches exclusively on PC. Yars Rising releases on all platforms. And September 11th, Mirthwood releases exclusively on PC. On September 12th, Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown crashes onto the PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Self-Loss, Wild Bastards, and Lollipop Chainsaw Repop rush onto PS5, PC, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox Series X and S. Then on September 13th, Evo Tinction leaps onto the PS4, PS5, and PC. Funko Fusion bursts onto PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. The Epic Game Store is offering 2 free games this week. Super Crazy Rhythm Castle and Rugrats Adventures in Gameland will be available for download from September 12th until the 19th.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest, Chastity Vicencio, who takes us behind the scenes of working for a big game studio and shares her impressions on the latest hit video game, Astro Bot.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hi, Chastity. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Naomi. It's been a while. It's so good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you, too. So just for some context for those listening, Chastity and I used to work together at IGN. Had many years of working together, which was really fun. But now you're over at Ubisoft.
I am.
And your official title is Editorial Communications Manager. Tell me what that is. We're going to take a deep dive into the back end here of the gaming industry. So tell me what it is you do, what your role involves.
Absolutely. So basically, as the editorial communications manager, I write, produce, and host content in support of Ubisoft games. So I'm part of this editorial team called Ubisoft News, and we publish news, interviews, and features on Ubisoft.com. We also produce deep dive videos and more for YouTube, the YouTube channel, and we also stream on Ubisoft's official Twitch every Wednesday through Friday. So a lot of writing, video production, and hosting. And recently, I've been managing all of our articles, videos, and streams for Star Wars Outlaws.
Of course. Big title out there right now. So if you guys haven't checked it out, do check out Star Wars Outlaws. We've mentioned it a couple times on our show. Speaking of which, you did do a San Diego Comic-Con panel last year for the game. What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, that was so exciting. Not just because I love San Diego Comic-Con and I love Star Wars. So those were already setting me up for excitement, right? But San Diego Comic-Con was my first con ever back when I was a teenager. And I went in 2004 and I was just wow, this is huge. I finally found my community in real life. And it was just really cool to see so many people with the same passions about entertainment and pop culture. And so getting to come back this many years later and be on the stage in one of the biggest rooms to do a Star Wars Outlaws panel was huge for me. And I love Star Wars. Like I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I've loved it since I was 5. I first watched the original trilogy on VHS. You remember that?
Yeah.
Right? Loved Han, Leia, Ewoks, Chewie. And I was like in the Star Wars fan club, put posters on my wall, all of that, lining up to see episode 1 back in the day. So this really felt like a full circle moment for me, not just to host San Diego Comic-Con, but to, see my name in the credits when the game eventually came out. So that was huge to me. I definitely shed a tear spotting my name in the credits.
You're like, I did it.
I know. My first Star Wars credit. It's so wild.
Yeah, you shipped a game. Like, that's a big thing for anyone in this industry, like, to be able to say, I shipped a game. Like, because sometimes you work on projects and they never see the light of day.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah. Well, congrats on that. And also how, speaking of which, you were hosting such a big panel like that. For somebody who's listening and who wants to kind of enter your line of work, how do you get over maybe the stage fright or the nerves or doing something that big as your job? And then how do people get in the industry doing what you do?
Yeah, it just takes a lot of practice. It really does. Like, even if you're practicing on your own and you find a teleprompter app to just write your own script and read that script back and see how it feels different coming out of your mouth. And if it doesn't sound natural, how do you make it sound more natural? I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, but just for everyone out there, it's just honestly, it just takes a lot of repetition and practice to do the hosting part. But also, I stream on Twitch 3 times a week, and that's a whole different animal itself. It's not oh, I'm a good host, I can stream. It's not exactly the same. You add in being able to play games at the same time and talking to yourself, essentially, as opposed to hosting is you're usually talking with people, interviewing people, or reading a script that you've written ahead of time. You're kind of just improvising the whole time. So if you want to get better at streaming, that also just takes a lot of practice. You just have to keep doing it until you feel more comfortable and more natural. But yeah, this is my first job on the developer side of the industry. And I made that jump about 6 years after doing games media. No, 6. Yeah, I've done six years of games media at IGN and GameSpot, and then I switched over. So I'd say that my time in games media, honing my craft as a video producer, writer, and host, really set me up for success when I joined the team at Ubisoft, the communications team. Mm-hmm. So I'd say make things, keep working on your craft. That really goes for anything, any kind of thing that you want to do in the industry, and learn to wear multiple hats and diversify your skill set. That's pretty well-rounded for any type of role that you want if you want to go into this industry. But if you do want to be a writer and editor, I just say keep writing, keep reading, find work that inspires you, figure out what you admire about that work and apply those traits to yours. And then, publish your own writing, freelance, pitch to outlets, and try to get published. So there definitely is a pipeline from games media editor to game dev, communications, and PR. You and I know multiple people that have done that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely hope there. And then if you want to make videos professionally, you're I love editing videos. Just keep doing that. Keep practicing, and publish to your own YouTube channel and social media, especially. Keep learning new skills to improve your work. I've not had to edit in a very long time, but I'm just floored by how people are making their own TikTok videos all the time. And just it's just a whole different thing than when I used to work in social media back when I was at IGN.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's wild.
It's wild, the level of access that people have to, and the level of tools, we used to have to go edit in a software and all this stuff on our computer, hopefully it was a beefy enough computer to handle it. But now it's you can have apps on your phone that are so turnkey and easy to use. There's really that's a really good outlet. It gives you access and it makes it a lot easier. The barrier to entry is a lot easier these days. But all really good advice to give out to people who are listening and who want to do what you do. But that also leads me to my next question, which is, what is the most important aspect of your job to be doing what you're doing? And how does it differ from kind of your entry point, which was main media, to now working on the dev side? Yeah, so I'd say providing a spotlight for the hardworking devs that create our games is probably the most important part of the work that I do. They're so passionate about their work.
And I love that through my interviews with them, we as fans, like I count myself as a fan, get to know these people that make the games. Like they put a face to these games, learning more about their personal experiences and getting to hear how these games are created. Just what's going on in their mind as they're making things. And so, yeah, it's nice to put like faces to the work, right? And just to kind of humanize it a bit. So I feel like that's the most important part, is just to remember that people are making these, people are putting years of their life into these games. And, we shouldn't forget that and just dismiss their work and just respect what they do. And like you said, it's a miracle that like games get shipped at all. It's so cool that I get to work on so many games. So I'm really honored to talk to them and learn more about what they do. And for the second part of your question, like how is it different from when I was working in games media, is the access. It's like I just have this access to these developers. And so if I think it, I can make it, and which is really cool because that's not always the case in games media. It's like, oh, I have this really cool idea. If only I had the access to all of the devs that make this game.
Yeah.
But now I do. It's just like if I think of something, it's like I want to know how people thought of this particular like feature in this game. I can find out who did that and talk to them. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. And you're just the perfect person to be doing what you're doing. You're made for this. Here's something a bit more general for people who are out there right now, because a lot of people are playing the game Astro Bot.
Yes.
I think you told me you were playing Astro Bot. So is there something in particular that you just love about that game that has got your attention?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? Because we
got
love
3 minutes.
Astro Bot. Yes, I love it so much. So you can just like every time I put Astro Bot on, like it's been for the past 3 days, I just can't help but feel instant joy when I turn it on and start playing. Like seriously, if anyone needs a pick me up, this is the game to play. It's a 3D platformer developed by Team Asobi. It's the follow up to Astro's Playroom. So if you've got a PS5, Astro's Playroom came with that essentially to show off the capabilities of the DualSense controller. So if you're unfamiliar with Astro Bot, try Astro's Playroom first, and I promise you'll be impressed. But you're going to want more. So Astro Bot is the follow-up, and honestly, it's another knockout use of the DualSense controller to its full potential, haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, like just shining here and it makes for like a really immersive gameplay experience. And I just think like it's so incredibly creative, and like the gameplay is so inventive, and they have like new abilities for Astro. Like there's a bulldog that rides on his back. I know this will appeal to you. There's a bulldog that rides on his back, and it gives you like an air dash, and then like a monkey can ride on his back and lets him climb and slam the ground and swing. I thought that was just really creative. And so I love the level design as well. I hear there's like 80 levels, and every level contains like a number of bots you have to rescue and collect puzzle pieces. And it's very satisfying to do that. Like it doesn't really feel like a chore. And it's like, I just love going back and finding the missing bots that I missed the first time. And I think it's really easy to learn and start playing, which is important too. Like anyone can just jump into
I was going to ask you that. Like, is it something that anyone who maybe doesn't have a lot of gaming experience can hop in and play?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very like accessible for people who don't play a lot of games, because there are varying levels of difficulty for each of the levels. But if you've played a lot of games and you still want a challenge, they do have more challenging levels as well for those type of gamers. But if you're new to it and you just want to jump in, this is a really good place to start. I'd say I remember how Super Mario 64 made me feel this is something special. This is not too hard, but I'm still challenging myself, and these levels and this gameplays are going to stick with me, and they did. So I feel like Astro Bot's going to have the potential to recapture that same magic for a younger audience.
Yeah, and it is great for younger kids. I feel like it's if you're introing, or if you have a PlayStation and you're introing into the world of Sony, this is like the game to play. It also has a bunch of characters from different franchises and stuff. Yeah. So you can kind of learn a bit more about all the different games that Sony has worked on over the years and what those characters are, and see like a cartoon version of like,
it's so fun. Like I got so excited to rescue like a Parappa the Rapper bot and Crash Bandicoot like at the beginning of the game. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see all of the references, the VIP bots.
The VIP bots, yeah.
Exactly.
It's such a fun game. Chastity, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Have loved working with you in the past. I hope you'll come back on the show at some point.
Anytime.
You've definitely been an inspiration for me and how to pursue a career in gaming and how to just be, somebody who stays passionate the whole way through.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you. I've always admired you as well.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.
You too.
Chastity Vicencio is editorial communications manager at Ubisoft. You can follow her on Twitter at chastity_V.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had such a blast bringing you the news this week. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks to my co-writer, Josh Seaman, as always, for putting the show together with me. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a gaming-filled week, and we'll see you again, same time, same place. Thanks for listening.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.